Welcome to our Mobilizing Leadership production of Living Leadership. This series works from the premise that leadership is not a title, but a mindset. Filmed in one take, it explores how people navigate beyond the status quo and captures their insights on what leadership looks like across their work, life, and community. The Discovery Whiteboard session is facilitated by Stuart Morse, and we welcome our guest. Welcome to another Living Leadership interview, and we're here with Eddie Dominguez.
Correct.
And Eddie, so thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Eddie Dominguez. I've worked with SPAN for roughly 22 years.
Oh, very good.
So I come from a small family, father, mother, brother, and two sisters. And, we were really tight, and I've been doing this forever.
And what position do you have right now?
I'm a superintendent.
Superintendent.
At SPAN Construction.
Very good. So when when you think about leadership is not a title, but as a mindset. How do you see leadership showing up in your work and life and community?
In my life, I empathize a lot.
Empathize. Okay.
Yes. So as we're working. Well, let me start here.
Sure.
I started working with this company as a general labor.
Okay.
So as I've slowly come up from general labor to the position that I currently have, I empathize a lot on what I used to do, what I used to go through, and what I want my guys to go through. How I want them to learn in relation to how I learned.
Okay, so really on you said you want them to learn, and in this idea of that what you went through, right, and what they're going through, but this goal is to get them to learn, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And with that learn comes the opportunity. So as you how can I say this? So as I was working, I know that I needed to go somewhere, and I wanted to go somewhere, and I was always depending or looking for the right person who's gonna guide me there. And those opportunities that I did or did not have is what I want to provide my guys. So giving them.
So from what I heard you said, so this thing of that what you went through, but there's a guide along the way, right?
Correct.
A person or.
A lot of people, actually. So I like to interact with a lot of people, and I kind of take a grasp of the individuals who I see that may lead me in a direction where my goal is going to be fulfilled. So I have my father. He was a really big impact in my life. Taught me how to work since I was a little kid. We didn't have a whole lot, so he taught us a lot of. This is how you live. This is work.
So, but you mentioned this idea of goals, and you had goals.
Yes.
I mean, from what I'm hearing you say, you could just be someone who's just kind of going through the motions and things, and you wouldn't if you were doing that and you had that mindset, you probably wouldn't be watching for different people who could help and be guides for you, but. It sounds like this idea that you have that these goals. If you need to have some goals that you're striving for, because then that triggers that you're then watching for these people who are going to help you, right?
Correct.
Okay. So it sounds like goals is a key thing. Is for
me,
individuals?
Yes.
Now, are you watching for that in others? Then I mean,
yes.
If you have this empathy and you're looking for people. And looking to learn and hopefully be a guide for folks. So you're also watching for people who are kind of goal oriented, or
I'm asking for goals.
Oh, you're asking for
so
that. You're triggering that.
Yes, so that I can see which direction I can walk with my guys instead of pushing my guys. Sometimes when we have really tight schedules, we tend to say we got to push this. We got to push this to, finish. Push to the finish line, instead of, here, let me walk you this way, because this is the direction you want to start walking.
Excuse me. So walking with versus pushing.
Correct. And there's a difference, because I feel like when you pull somebody, they want to come, instead of when you push somebody, you're pushing. It's somewhere they really don't want to go. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So once you find what these goals are for everybody, including myself, it's easier to bring them, guide them through to get to their goal, instead of, I need you to do this. I'm going to push you to this.
Right.
And there's a difference, because I feel there's a difference, because I'm going to make you better, but I need to find out where you want to be and how fast you want to get there, so that I know how to guide you, per se.
Right. This idea make you better. So I imagine if you're really, I mean, this idea, the empathizing, but I mean, that sounds like that's a goal for you. I mean, even though that person, I mean, that's kind of hard, you know, that someone said that they have this idea that, well, I'm here to make myself better, but I think it sounds like that's something that it's you're trying to do that for them.
Correct.
This idea of, I'm here to make you better, and therefore I've found out that if I pull, it's better than pushing.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
then
because
you would need the empathy to be able
Correct.
to truly understand
exactly.
that.
Well, like I tell my guys, it's really hard to manage, and it's harder to manage when you just want to shove everything and push everything down someone, instead of figuring out exactly where they stand, whether they understand or they have limitations to certain things, and that's where you get their goal out of them. I want to get here, but I don't know how to. Well, okay, let me guide you. At least I know which direction you want to go and how fast you want to get there.
So it's this idea of, you know, we always talk about meet people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure you said it exactly that way, but you know, you're trying to understand where they are, right? And therefore you can help them get to
Correct.
another place.
Yeah.
And so therefore understanding where they are and then I'll come back to this, asking them for specific goals. What are some of those goals when you're starting to, you know, to create that pull, you know, go down? What does that goal discussion look like? I mean, how does that start to shape up when you're starting to have that with somebody?
Well, a lot of guys, they'll come to me at stating, what else can I do? How else can I help? And it's always about money. It starts with money. I need a raise, I need this. And I was like, okay, you need that. Okay. So in our line of work, it's very repetitive.
Right.
So let's figure out what you can do tomorrow that you haven't done yesterday, so that we can get you to where you want to be. And with that, there's challenges with that. And I always tell my guys, a good place to start is when you're a helper. So I know that I can do my job better if I make my helper a better helper.
So that's there. Okay. So this concept of being a helper, and you said it starts with money, but then it sounded like but you're transitioning it to this different conversation,
Correct.
right? To trigger this. Hey, how can I help?
Yeah.
It's otherwise hey, how can I make more money?
Yeah.
And I think
and that's a harder
sounds like you're
conversation to
shifting
have.
that
Yeah.
to say, well, first you got to be a helper.
Right.
And then because if you're a helper, you then trigger this comment, you know, hey, how can I help? So if you can trigger that thinking in them, then you've able to make them this concept of being a helper.
Correct.
So what are some aspects of what are you trying to get them to understand around what does it mean to be a helper?
Well, one is to understand what I'm doing.
So someone you're working
Correct.
for, or
yes. Well,
or is it peers? I mean, is it everybody that's
it's
around
everybody.
you, or is
That's the goal. The goal is to have any upper management that you have within your core group is to have a better helper, so that
okay,
you can be a better manager,
okay,
or you can have a better outcome at work.
right. So be a better helper. And that goes well. I think to management, to people who are trying to run a large group.
Mm-hmm.
But I imagine that also radiates. It radiates also out to, I mean, the people who are working right alongside you.
Correct.
And what is this concept of being a good helper? How do you? Is this where you have individual conversations with everybody, or is it? I mean, I imagine it's that. What about this idea that they help others think like this also?
I think that's the outcome.
Okay.
So I like to work with each individual. So I want to get to know them.
All right.
I want to get to know them at work. Then you create dialogue at work and how their day works on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
You end up learning when they wake up, when they go to sleep, how much they sleep, and then that'll help me say, okay, well, you look a little either down or slow or today, then you can start having those conversations.
So it sounds like you're really getting, it's not just about your time at work.
No.
It's about
correct
how their life too and how they're going about that. And I mean, I heard in what you said that you're really trying to understand, I mean, how their day works.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just right when you show up on the site. It's what happened, the hours before,
right,
or night afterwards, and you're trying to find out that piece. How does, when you start having, does that have a lot of impact in all this, that on how you're trying to create this path for them?
Well, it helps you understand how fast their goal is going to be based
Okay.
on how they work at work and off work.
Okay.
So if your goal is to come up to a manager as fast as they can, then the conversations you would have on their day-to-day basis is, what, I was thinking about this before I went to sleep and how we can do this better. And that's like, all right, you're not just the helper, you're the better helper.
Okay.
And you're going to understand a lot of what we're doing a lot faster because you are thinking about what we're doing out here throughout your day.
So that's where we get into that. When I started our conversation, this idea of a mindset.
Yes.
So if it's a title, well, I'm just thinking out loud here as you're listening to you talk. It's very interesting how you've laid this out. The idea that if it's a title, then when I walk on the job site, I get the title and then I operate with the title. And then when I walk off away from work, the title goes away, right? But if it's a mindset, it sticks with you.
It's a lifestyle.
It's okay. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
Okay.
It's how we work and where we work and how proud of work you are. When you're proud of something, you tend to talk about it wherever you go. And that's the difference between pushing and pulling.
That there's pride.
Yeah, a lot of pride. You look back and you say, I did this, and this is what it took for me to accomplish this.
Right. And that sounds like there's a lot probably in this. I mean,
Yes.
you're watching for a lot of things, I would imagine.
Correct.
It's I would imagine just where the people, I'm guessing, we talk a lot about understanding kind of cultural influences from people, family. I mean, you started our conversation with family,
Yes.
but then you mentioned your father in here as a guide.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always been a part of my work life as well.
So understanding that, I would imagine too, who have been their guides through their life? What have they had any? And what messages have they come to you with?
I was always taught by my dad is there's always going to be somebody in your life who's going to make you better. And when you find an individual on your day-to-day life who just gave you that day or that word today that's going to take you somewhere else, that's the kind of people you need to hang around with. That's the kind of people who are going to influence your life. And never forget
Right.
who you were and where you're going.
So this could just be a word that
Yeah.
someone shares with
Yes.
you, that a thought. Okay.
And I'm bad with taking words literal, even if they pertain to me or not. So if we're in a group and something's being said about, I don't know, the quality of somebody's work, whether it was mine or not, if we talk about it and that's not where we need to be, that'll trigger my head to be like, oh, was it my job? I need to go back and see, and I need to make sure that moving forward, I take that with me.
Right. So, what are you watching for you to be able to do this? And what are you watching in yourself? I mean, what are you thinking about your own mindset as you're moving through this and trying to take people on this journey? What are you watching in yourself?
I think I like the satisfaction of knowing that I helped somebody. You know,
Okay.
Everybody, or not, I can't say everybody, but I hear people talk about success and what success means to each individual, whether it's making a lot of money, having a good retirement plan, you know, living life at the beach after you're done with your work life, you know. And I always thought to myself, at the end of my working days, or when I'm all done with this and stuff like that, you know, I would like to have the satisfaction of at least one person saying, you know what, Eddie, that guy, he was a pain in the ass, but man, did he do a lot for me, and did I learn a lot from that guy, and he just helped me through my work life, and that is success to me.
Well, then what I'm hearing in that is sometimes you have to be tough. I mean, there's this.
You do, and
it's not just about being nice to
no,
everybody.
it's not.
I mean, you can empathize with people and still
be stern.
Be stern.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. But it also, you know, what goes with being stern? I mean, is it if you find times you have to be stern, what's the other side of that coin? That,
well, I think you build consistency that people
Okay.
can see, and you know, when you have consistency, you have structure, and when you're structured right, you're stern all the time
okay.
without actually having words with anybody, because they understand the consistency. And
Yeah, so it's not about words.
It's-
It's just about there's this almost
Yeah.
driving force that
Yes.
it is what it is,
And
and
it's a
this
flow,
is
yes.
and this gets you to this,
correct,
and it gets you to learn. It gets you to opportunity.
right. Well, you can't be always nice if you want to accomplish your goals.
Yeah, right.
You know.
Well, I think you just put a punchline on it. So, Eddie, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your insights. Great
No problem.
talking with you.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Nice
right.
job.
Thank you to our guest and the Sprint Ahead Mobilizing Leadership people who are collectively working to create leadership for all through shared purpose, connected communities, new opportunities to learn, and action-based leadership experiences. We look forward to hearing your insights. Please connect and move forward with us.